excited to welcome back Dennis Higgins. Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
And joining him, Richard Burke, to talk about elder climate action.
Hi there.
We mentioned it briefly, but we're going to get more in depth. Hi, Richard.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. We're so thrilled to be here to talk about Elders for Climate Action with the MPTF. I was lucky enough, I was on here a few weeks ago and we were talking, and I have a long time background in the entertainment industry and very much identify with the people who are part of the MPTF. And, I recently have retired from my career as a public relations executive at Warner Brothers, at Sony Pictures, at Miramax, at a couple of other companies, most recently at Warner Brothers, and retired, and was really looking to see how I could how I could spend my time and how I could devote my energies to something meaningful and important. And when I looked around, I really felt like the environment was the overriding concern issue of our time. And specifically when I was thinking about my kids and potential grandchildren and this kind of thing in the world that they're going to be inheriting from all of us, I think about the environment and what is going on there, and the problems that we have currently, and found that there are definitely things we can do, and one of the things I wanted to mention is that as someone who's a little older, we have time to do things about that, and I want to show you here, if I can just share my screen, that there are a lot of others who are doing similar thing. This is an article in the Washington Post about what were referred to as gray greens, older people, grandparents in London who were taking a stand on the climate and making the point that they were doing something for their grandchildren, because this world that is in the situation it's in is going to be theirs to take.
I have to say, one of the reasons we wanted to have you and Richard on is to give more scope for what this organization does.
Which is exactly what I was hoping and can do, and Richard can join me, but he particularly. So again, getting back to, so I found this organization, Elders for Climate Action, it's a great group of elders who all get together and are motivated very much by the world and the grandchildren and children that are going to be taking this world. And one of the things about elders is they're the largest voting bloc in the United States when you group them all together. So we have a lot of influence, a lot of power, and what the elders do is we work with a lot of organizations that are out there also working on the environment. And here's if you can see on my screen, here's our priorities. We are committed to the Paris climate agreements that were made. We are committed to environmental justice. I guess the first thing I should say is everything that I show you today is on our website, which is free for anybody to go to. It's free for anybody to access any of the information. There's no joining in the sense of a fee or a membership for Elders Climate Action. It's www.eldersclimateaction.org, and on there, as part of the overview, there is what we are committed to, which is these things, abiding by the Paris Agreement to attempt to not have the temperature of the atmosphere go above 1.5 degrees for higher than it is current or than it was when industrial development started, where we support environmental justice for low income and minority people who have been ignored and who feel the most effects of the climate crisis. We're committed to a just transition so that people who are going to lose jobs because fossil fuel industries are going to they're going to be displaced. Those workers in their communities find jobs in other areas, and then we have issues of trying to ban the use of fossil fuels or reduce the use of fossil fuels, promote environmental protection, promote climate-friendly land use. Again, these things are all on our website. We are very nonpartisan. We don't feel this is a partisan issue. I think everything in the country these days becomes a partisan issue, but we really feel that this is everybody's business. And look who is back, who can address some of this possibly, probably even better than me, is Richard Burke, who's the head of the SoCal chapter of the Elders Climate Action. I'll just continue to post things as Richard speaks.
Okay, well, great. Thanks. Sorry, technical difficulty apparently, but let me introduce myself briefly. I started out as a young kid being interested in the environment and then spent a career working for engineering and environmental companies, doing environmental work, permitting, planning on a wide variety of projects and issues. And I'm still doing that. I'm working part-time to help PG&E keep the trees away from their power lines because they're knocking them down and causing fires. And that's a big issue, obviously. Speaking of fires, I mean, I'm sure all of you are familiar with what's going on. Last year, 10 million acres burned in the West. It's a huge amount. People had to evacuate, of course, and lost homes and killed people. And hundreds more died from just exposure to the smoke. Even as far away as the northeast part of this country, the smoke was blowing over there and affecting people and keeping people indoors. And I'm sure many of you.
I was going to say that those satellite images were haunting. The smoke just making that streak across the country.
That's right. And so really we're all affected. Anything that happens anywhere on the globe affects everybody else. The plan is to try to keep the increase from all of our burning of fossil fuels below that 1.5 degree limit. It does not look like we are going to make it. It looks like we might go over it, but we can keep it to 1.6 if we cut our emissions in half by 2030 and to zero by 2050. So there's a real urgency, a real need for actions for all of us, and not just the young people, but all of us to take action now. We can make a difference. We can definitely make a difference. And of course, we have a duty to our kids and our grandkids to try to leave things in a better place, and that's certainly part of my motivation. What can we do? Well, there's Dennis mentioned a variety of things. Basically, it's individually or collectively. Individually, you can stop driving cars that burn gas, and do other things. Either take transit or take electric cars. You can try to encourage use of your convert your gas burning appliances to electric. Those are more healthy because they don't burn things in your own homes, but they also help the planet. But even more importantly, you can help act collectively. There's a lot of power when individuals come together and do things together. And we can, together, we can get government agencies to take policies. We can get businesses to make changes. We can get school districts to buy electric buses that'll help our grandkids. All those sorts of things can be done at a collective level. And that's why I found this organization, Elders Climate Action, is such a great one. Yeah, it's free. Did we mention it's free? It's free. Um,
Yes. Um,
You know,
website-
hey, if I could just jump in for a second, you know, Richard, one of the things about those, and Jennifer, you probably lived through this. Some of those fires unfortunately came very, very close to the Motion Picture and Television Fund campus. I can't think what the fire a couple of years ago out there was called, but there was a fire that was jumping over the 101. I remember.
Yeah, we actually evacuated the campus out of a high level of precaution.
wow.
The Department of Public Health later came back and said, please don't do that again unless it's absolutely necessary. Our thought was, at the point it becomes absolutely necessary,
That's too
the
late.
resources need to be
Right.
battling the fire, not moving the frailest of the residents, but those that we could help to get out of harm's way. We wanted to do that out of a great sense of precaution.
Right.
Well,
Um,
let me.
it was a very telling exercise for us as well.
Well, that's
Oh, I
that's
bet.
another area where we can help. We have people who are experts in smoke exposure in our organization who have videos that can explain to everybody, well, when should you be cautious and what can you do and what's the severity here? Severe consequences because these fires aren't always just burning trees. They burn all the stuff in your house, and you know what's in your house isn't really good to burn, right?
Right.
So um, maybe if there's a group of people interested in that angle, we'd be happy to set up a separate call, for example, just discuss this wildfire issue. Maybe we schedule it in the springtime or something,
Yeah.
prior to the next season or something. But that's a good point.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, wildfires are currently happening. It's no longer wildfire season. It seems to be happening all year round. But even last night, I'm working from home and have been for a couple of weeks. I had my patio door open, and the winds last night, which seemed to have come out of nowhere, covered everything in dust because there was also a dust alert because of the drought situation that we're in.
Right.
So like my computer is still covered.
Yeah.
And are there things that your group is also focused on in terms of, hey, when alerts like that go out, we have information, we have
Yeah.
calls to action. Certainly, I think you are
Yes.
right on the money with organizing people to write letters and
Right.
to get the shoe leather out. That's
Yes.
all incredible. What other interesting ways are you guys activating a group of people that have time?
Yeah, that's another thing. One of our most effective ways we have, and our technology can be daunting, as we just saw, but we found, and we can do it, so anybody can do it. A very simple app. You got a phone, load the app. It's called Climate Action Now. Climate Action Now. You
Yeah,
load,
I'm gonna,
and you want to you want to show that, or you want to wait till later, Dennis?
yeah, no, just show it now. There,
Okay.
this
So
is the app. This is where you download the app from the App Store, just so you see it.
yeah, and so it says you can earn trees. Um, you go when you open the app, and you first thing it does, it suggests something that you could do, like write a letter to such and such, say regarding the reconciliation bill, or to a state representative or something. All right, and it's recommending this to you and to hundreds and thousands of other people at the same time. So all this gets multiplied in this collective manner I was talking about. And so you open that letter and you see, and if you like what it says, dear sir or ma'am, please, take action. then you push yes and it goes. So it's a very simple system. And it is effective because these staff members of politicians, you know, they're not going to read every single, but they're going to count. Oh, we got 500 comments that support this bill. We better vote for it or against it, whichever the case may be. So that's one good example.
And that's on the local and the federal level. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
It
the app
kind of,
is, if I just, not to interrupt, but the app is relatively new. It's a terrific tool because you just need one of these, and pretty much we all have one of these, and it provides very simple one-click, two-click calls to action of various things, whether it's local, state. You put in your zip code or your personal information, your zip code, and it will target them to you, like what's going on in your area. And I foresee a lot of use of this, including, I don't know, but I would imagine that when there are dangers in your area, whether it's fires or whatever, that there'll be action alerts available on things like that. But one of the things also that I thought would be good to talk about that afford us something that can help people is we have Richard is the head of the Southern California chapter of the ECA, and we have chapters all over the country. Richard, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
that's right. Yeah, I was just thinking that there's probably a lot of viewers here today that are from other states, maybe, or who have relatives in other states, or maybe even considering there, or have kids or others in other states, and many of those states have ECA chapters also that we could encourage people to join as well that take action in those localities. So, for example, if you have one of your children or grandchildren's in Indiana, you can clue them into this particular organization, and they can get involved there to help that state because they're, in many ways, California is ahead of others, right? But there are other states that have other issues too and can help. So I would certainly encourage anybody who's listening to encourage their friends who are located in other states to look into that possibility.
And this is an international organization. You showed headlines from people marching in London before. Was that in partnership, or was that just illustrative that there is a gray-green movement?
I
Yeah,
think,
mostly the latter.
yeah, but
Yeah.
but I think it is. Absolutely. I think it's the latter. But one of the things that I was really attracted to by the environment elders climate action is the work with other groups, whether they be international or national or local, working with other groups that are also involved in the climate movement, conservation of League of Conservation Voters, this kind of thing. I also wanted to mention that, and I'm going to show you some things here again, and I know my screen sharing skills are not ideal, but I also wanted to mention there's a lot of information and activities or videos, certainly videos, that are available on our website that you can really learn about the organization, but also learn about the environmental situation. And there's this idea of, because we're all a little older and we have children and things, and we have grandchildren, there are tools and things you can do to help to talk to your grandchildren and interact with your grandchildren about the environment, in addition to just talking to them. there are videos you can show to them and show with and watch with them that talk about the climate and what's going on, and it impacts them. And I think one of the things you're going to find is they are as involved in this, aware of this as anyone. And then another last one I show that I think is just terrific is there are books you can read with your kids and help them out. Again, something great that you can find a way to interact with the grandchildren, book to read, watch videos to watch with your grandchildren, books to read with your grandchildren, online resources and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of great stuff on the website, and along with the stuff for the grandchildren, there's also videos of instructions on planting, instructions on deforestation, not instructions, but information about that.
Let's talk a little bit about the Southern California chapter, and Richard, how you became the head of that, what tangible things you are super energized around, because these resources are absolutely wonderful. And certainly, if anyone is tech savvy, downloading the app, visiting the website, using these resources to connect with your grandchildren or your children, to activate them about something you are passionate about, it's a great way to stay connected without talking about a pandemic. Like, there's been so much energy put toward the virus, and that is, conversation that people, I know in my family, that's what we kind of tend to default to now. To have something that is a positive impact, that is activating around change,
Yes.
that's glorious.
It is. It really is. And that's what excites me. That's what excites this group, excites this chapter. And it is definitely what got me involved. I'm semi-retired now, and I want to do something. I see there's a need. I explained, I mean, everybody can see there's a need. You look out the window, you open the window, there's a need. And, some people get, oh, I can't do, I'm just me. I can't do that. I don't know what to do. There's too much information. There are things to do. There are concrete things that you can do that do make a difference. As an example, kind of a small thing you'd think, California Public Utility Commission procures energy, or they instruct the utilities to procure energy. They were thinking of, well, letting them buy gas plants, put in new gas-fired power plants. And people went, wait, no, hey, that's the wrong thing to do. And one of the commissioners agreed. So there was a kind of you could say a battle or a competition between proposals. We, as the organization, as a chapter, got involved, contacted them with other groups, and lo and behold, the commission said, "You're right. Okay, based on this input, we're not going to do that. We're going to go with the all clean, renewable energy approach." So, I mean, it'd be hard to say that my call or that person's call or Dennis's call did the trick, but because we work together. So if, that's a success story you can feel if you join and you work on things like this. It's, it's out of the headlines, but it's a real difference. It really makes a difference to your future.
Richard, I think you before I got involved, I think the organization was very involved in the Aliso Canyon situation, which was pretty local to the motion picture and campus.
Yes. Well, yeah, there you go. Talk about local.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about things local like Aliso Canyon, right now is the time to act, because they are the commission is also looking at whether to permit them to expand, not just leave what they are, but expand, or to be reduced, to be capped, and then to eventually go out of business. And we need people who are, if you're interested in that, we need people who can help work with us, put together a campaign that we've got going on that particular issue, because we know because we know the people to call, the commissioners, we know their staff, we know their phone, we know the emails, we know the timing that you have to do it, we know how, which website to go to file your letter, things like that. So that work, that hard work, if you will, has been done. We need people to help join us and participate. That would be good.
To that point also, if I can just jump in, Jen, one of the things I have experienced in the limited time I've been participating in this is exactly what Richard's talking about. I thought about the environment, it's kind of overwhelming. How am I going to stop it from getting warmer? And, I know you could write a letter to your governor or to your senator, but through this organization, there's like an organized approach to campaigning with the legislature. And we just came through this legislative session and learning about how the state government works and who your local representative is and what the bills are, and actually calling those people and calling their offices. And you know what? They want to hear from you. They actually enjoy hearing from you. Look, you're not going to get Governor Newsom on the phone and give him your peace of mind.
What?
But his office wants, when you call them, they want to hear what the constituents are saying. And, you really start adding up the numbers, there's, it's not the United States, it's just one state. It's a big state and there's a lot of voters, but, there's not that many people calling their local representatives. You are someone, you can make an impact. And when you put that impact together, as Richard's saying, with a group, so when, 50 people call from Elders Climate Action to say, hey, the Aliso Canyon thing, we're really concerned about it. Richard Bloom or Senator Allen, they're listening. They want to know what you as their constituents think. And, it's really, I don't want to say it's quite to the point that it's fun, but it's really a learning. And that app really helps now because it's like, as they say, one button and you're connected to the phone or the email of Senator Allen to tell him whatever it is you want to tell him. We're not advocating for you to tell him anything. We're just saying get involved is a great thing to do. With your time. Also, the other thing I just want to bring up regarding the local chapter, Richard, maybe you can talk about this, but I know that the people at the Motion Picture Television Fund are experts in a lot of areas of communication, of production, of putting things together, presentations together, and we need help too.
Yes.
In fact, if you, I dare say, if you watch some of the videos on our website, you're going to see that we need help in this area. These are not high-end Hollywood productions, and we're not necessarily looking for them to be, but you could use your skills and get involved with us in those areas. And Richard, I think you had pointed out that whatever area you are interested in, as a citizen, as an elder, as a member of the Motion Picture TV Fund, we can set up a conversation. We can set up meetings to discuss particular issues. If it's about fires, if it's about renewable electric vehicles, again, this legislative session has just ended. It's fascinating to see the things that have passed and the things that haven't, and learn about one of the ones I was hearing about yesterday is just the smaller vehicles, small like tractors and lawnmowers and this kind of thing, where the legislation was passed to limit those or to make them more green. But Richard, isn't that right? We could set up a.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Videos, of course, have more impact than stills and websites and stuff. So anybody who has any of those skills, please let us know. And by the way, we have a weekly call of our chapter every Tuesday afternoon after lunch. So anybody who's interested, please let Jennifer know or let me or Dennis know, and get you hooked up, and you can indicate what it is that you'd like to do or how you'd like to help. And either way, if you've got something that you need help on, we can maybe mobilize some people to help your project get done or vice versa.
Yeah.
That.
And it's really low risk because, did I mention it's free? And secondly, it's not even like signing up to be a member. It's anything on that website, all of those amateur or professionally done, certainly interesting, whether they're amateur, videos and webinars and books to read and online sites and this kind of thing, absolutely available to you. Just go to the website. But if you do want to sign up to get emails, that's great too. But you can come to our meetings, as you said, come to our meetings and participate or find out about it. Go to that ECA 101, find out about it. Again, I feel like I've learned so much about just how the process works. And you know what? It's a slow moving process, the legislative process. But it is the way it works. And it's how your government either works or doesn't work, political positions aside. But it is how it works. It's how, it's by people like us voicing our concerns and our wants, desires to our elected officials.
I also know for sure one of the reasons that we have this platform that we're discussing anything on today is because there was a board member 20 years ago for Motion Picture and Television Fund who was very frustrated that nobody was hiring him anymore. And somebody said to him, Mr. Shavelson, you're 90. And his response was, that just means I have more experience. I can tell a more compact tale from a wiser point of view. And the penny dropped for him that there was an entire community that he was a steward for that did not have a creative platform that would provide that purpose, that would give them the opportunity to do what it is that they loved to do.
Right.
Without the pressures of, it's what the IA is talking about right now. Certainly watching how they are organizing around working conditions, that's been very interesting. We're not a campus full of people that are going to or are interested in working an 18-hour day, but to do small projects, to have that voice, the expression is what matters. And at a certain age, sometimes people self-isolate thinking nobody is interested in my point of view. I love the fact that this is a very pointed elder climate action.
Yes.
We want you with your point of view, with your wisdom, with all of your life experience, and the understanding that we aren't fighting this fight for the rest of our lifetime. It's for the rest of everyone's lifetime. It's for our kids, it's for the grandkids, it's for the betterment of society. And the elder voice matters so much. You started off by saying it's one of the biggest voting blocks out there.
Right. Jen, to that point, when you go, I don't mean to keep promoting the site, but when you go to the site, there's some things on there. There are people talking about, and people in this group can remember this. There are people talking about getting out there for the first Earth Day. And, it's a little sad because that was long enough ago that we should have been done better by the environment by now. But it is so moving because they are, and they said, I was out there then for me, and now I'm going to continue this for my grandchildren, my kids or my grandchildren, because, and there's a lot of organizations also in this cooperative effort. There's a lot of organizations that are youth-based because the youth are really energetic about this and aware that they are taking, that this is the state of the world that they're going to be living in. And we work with them, but you're absolutely right. This is a specifically focused group of older people who have experience, who have wisdom, who have some time possibly, and certainly have skills to devote to it.
And I'll be selfish, Jennifer. I would like to get this problem fixed in my lifetime.
I would like that as well.
So if there's anybody out there listening who feels the same way, please join us because we want
Yeah. And
action.
that's interesting because when I was looking into this, I want to do something about the environment, but what? I'm not a scientist. I'm not an inventor. I'm not going to create a new form of energy, but there are things we can do. And it does seem so overwhelming, but to get those basic steps in, the writing of the letters, the electrifying your vehicles if you can, electrifying everything. We're now having a whole movement about ESG investing, looking at companies for, are they being environmentally conscious? And if I have my savings, I would like to know that they're being put into investing in companies that are not destroying the environment, which is, by the way, not a good business strategy anyway.
Well, and you talk about a group of people who have figured out how to really maximize their voice.
Mhm.
And this is terrible, and you guys will put me back on the right path. There was a small group of young investors that changed the dynamic of a board for an energy company. And
It was
please
Exxon.
pick up
It
that
was,
story.
I can't think of the exact name of the investor group, but basically they won 3 seats on the board of directors at Exxon, and their campaign was not, green this, green that, or whatever. Their campaign was, you as Exxon should not be investing our money that we are planning to invest with you for years and years. It is not a good investment for you to invest in fossil fuels. That is not where the future is going to be.
Changing that conversation changed it started this
Absolutely.
ripple effect with other companies going, oh wait, if it makes more fiscal sense,
Right.
Yes.
why are we not doing this?
That's the other thing I hadn't mentioned, but everything we're doing, everything we're promoting saves everybody money. In addition to the health, saving the health and saving the planet, you also save money. Electric cars are cheaper to operate by far. A solar energy now is cheaper than coal, gas, you name it. It's the cheapest form of energy, and it's getting cheaper every day. So we're not going against the tide in this economic world. We're going with the tide. We're trying to get as many people along as possible.
Speaking of tides, right? That's a
Right.
huge energy source that we don't harness either. And it's constant.
And the wind above that, and plus, we get into it, and it's very much in the environmental conversation. The biodiversity of life, both above and below the ocean, part of the ocean and above, that is just so important. And these are all things you can get involved in protection. I go out myself right near the campus, where the tree people are planting oak trees on the hills that had, over the years of human involvement, have been decimated. And with the idea that we'll plant them now, and they slow grow, but they take up oxygen, they take up carbon, they provide oxygen, they will help us, and it'll be 20, 30 years, but we can do something right now about that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right when you talk about the ocean. There's so much there. And also finding out about the research that's being done and the developments and the technologies. When you say that the tides going in and out, they are finding ways to utilize that. And the other thing Richard and I wanted to talk about that
Is
that
desalinization? No, sorry.
no, but I like it. No, but what you're going to be hearing an awful lot about in the next few weeks, this is great timing, because you're going to be hearing an awful lot about a thing called COP26.
So wait. If you guys have a little more time, I know you've got a meeting after lunch, but I'm hoping to hold you for another at least 15 or 20 minutes.
Sure.
Oh, that's fine.
I want to talk a little bit more about electric vehicles since we
Go
were just
for it.
kind of in that world, and then talk about COP26, because COP26, if you haven't heard of it already, you will, you should.
will.
It's going to be really, really interesting. But electric vehicles, for personally, I'm looking right now at what Ford is doing with the plug-in hybrids,
Mhm.
which I think for many people is a good way to start releasing that safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are in a pinch, you can still fuel up your tank and go between charging station and where another charging station might exist. But Ford is selling an additional feature where they let you know where charging stations are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're road tripping and
Yeah.
you have no idea about the town that you're going through, it'll ping like, this mall has free charging stations.
Yeah.
This petrol station actually has a charging station as well. Those are the types of steps in terms of electric
Mhm.
vehicle technology that are going to start making people a lot more comfortable to let go of fossil fuels.
You're right. I have an electric car. It does that. And they're all over the place, the charging. So I don't ever feel like I'm away from home.
They're all over the place in Southern California.
No, they're actually, well, that's true, but they also are across the country, and people drive all the time now, pretty routinely. Sometimes the other advantage is the computer will tell you how many stalls are available too. Which if one is
It's great.
better than the other, you can go to the other.
It's amazing.
And there's another advantage of an electric car, and that is it can provide power to your house during a blackout.
Which would have been, we never would have talked about 3 years ago.
So now
they
we're
come.
reverse. So the car is a battery, and so now they're developing software so that you can plug into the house. Yeah, sure, and you can charge up. But then if your house goes down because the power,
It's the Jenny.
you got power from your car. So
yeah.
and also utilities are paying people to allow them to curtail your electric power use for a fee, in which case you get money for doing nothing. Are you doing that?
Your girl did it.
Oh
Yay.
my gosh. Wait a minute. What are you
You're an
doing?
example.
Tell us about it.
I have a Nest
There you go.
thermostat, and I signed up with LADWP for them to, whenever the peak hours are, they can look at the temperature and moderate it in a certain span. But it's not as if you're totally locked into it. If it's a ridiculous amount temperature wise outside and there are 14 people in your house, not that would happen during COVID, you
Right.
still can manually override that and make it comfortable. But I got $125 from LADWP. Like, when's that ever happened?
Simply by Nest monitoring your electricity usage.
Yes.
And they're advertising it between 4 and 9. Don't run large,
Right.
Don't run your dishwasher, don't run your
Right.
washing machines. And that's the peak time that they look at and say, okay, you're not overusing, or you're not, it's 100 degrees outside and you have it 68 degrees in your house. That's not an efficient use of the energy that we're trying to provide across the county.
Yeah, that's great. Because I know there's also the idea, a lot of people probably know about this, of community solar arrays, or putting solar panels on your property, on your roof. And again, same thing, using the energy very judiciously, you can really make it go super far and sell the rest of it back, which is,
Right. There are hiccups to
unbelievable.
that, though. And that may be something that you guys have already addressed, but you look at, like, Bill Maher made a very public statement about all of the bureaucracy that it took for him to install solar in his house, that it was over 1,100 days from the time that he put in the application until they finally gave approval for the solar power to get activated. And because he's got such a large platform, it then looks like it's a bigger problem. But there is truth to that, that some of the bureaucracy for trying to be green, or greener, sometimes feels very prohibitive.
Yeah, and this is also part of the legislative stuff and the policy, government policy things that, hey, those rules need to come up to modern times, and let's not fool ourselves. Some of those rules are being kept as they are so that certain interests can keep you from that. But the innovation is not only in the technology; it's in the policies too.
That's so well put. So well put. I will also selfishly reveal to you guys, I made a documentary on the transportation industry.
Oh my God.
Called Be Prepared to Stop. And we did talk about self-driving vehicles. We talked about electric vehicles. We talked about how you pay for the Highway Trust Fund, the importance of the transportation industry to our way of life. And we completed that in 2016 before the election and everything that went kind of haywire after that. But part of it was the gas tax was something that we were talking about, because transportation and the way that we get to and from, the way supply gets to and from, it's one of those industries that is just taken for granted. Self-driving vehicles, electric vehicles, what Tesla was doing, what Daimler was doing, all very interesting because they were also looking at the environmental impacts. And I truly believe a lot of the regulations for the innovation around transportation, roads and bridges, that could be something that is both incredibly safe, very forward thinking, really green, great for the environment, terrific for jobs. It's just been, in the last 50 years, something that people expected other people were going to take care of. And I think the same can be said for climate. So I'm for some of those regulations. I think it's really important that there are checks and balances, but I do think some of them, like you were saying, it was about interests trying to keep their financial desires first and foremost.
Well, and this organization needs people who have that viewpoint, who can come together and look at different policies that are being developed, or suggest our own, in which we are actually suggesting some, and get government to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's also interesting, when you look back on it historically, kind of to what you're talking about, some of these regulations, when energy was so readily available and so cheap and so, there was no, these regulations made sense, and some of them were protecting certain things, but one of the ones I was hearing about yesterday, which was fascinating to me, is one of the things that the governor signed was a bill that provides, I don't know if it's low-cost loans or funding for truck drivers who are to get electric trucks or to get and those truck drivers are mainly those trucks are leased. Those trucks that are riding out of Long Beach are leased, and they are leased by, for the most part, minority people who don't have a whole lot of money to go converting they're trying to make a living, and they're leasing this truck at incredible rates that they're paying these big companies, And it's a big deal if the government's going to help them convert those things that, use electric vehicles. Because boy, if you lived along that corridor of whatever it is, the 605 or the one going down
710.
to Long Beach, whoo,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Hey,
yeah, I
I
was
just
going
was
to
going
say,
to say, we should talk a little bit about COP.
yes. Yep.
For anybody who doesn't know, COP26 is essentially it's a follow-up to something you've heard, which is the Paris Agreement, which was COP21. It's a meeting that is held, I believe it's held every year, Richard. It's the United Nations, I don't know exactly what
Conference
seal-
of the Parties.
Conference of the Parties. It's the United Nations Environmental Organization, and 200 countries are getting together. It's in Glasgow, Scotland this year. 200 countries are getting together to update each other, report, but essentially to follow up on the Paris Agreement and where are we and what have you done and what are you committed to. President Biden will be going. I believe the Pope is going there. Representatives of China will be there. It's a big deal in the sense of at least it's a marker of the environmental, where we are, what progress has been made, what needs to be made, and hopefully some agreements that can come out of it. But you're going to be hearing a lot about it, and it's something to keep an eye on. It starts on, I believe we found out it starts on Halloween. We know it is Halloween. Everyone else knows that it's October 31. It starts October 31 and goes for about a week. And I know that again, not to get political, I know that President Biden is hoping to have some of the infrastructure bill passed by then so that he can go into that with some moves that the government is making. The United States attempting to become, I think, a bit of a leader where it's been a bit of a laggard in the environmental movement. So,
Are there letters and call scripts and things that are available on your website around COP26, or is that something that you wait to see what the conference brings and then you're going to galvanize and organize around that?
Well, I would say the most important thing we can do between now and then is contact all of the senators in this country and get them to pass the reconciliation bill and the infrastructure bill. As Dennis was saying, that's the package that Biden needs to get the rest of the world to do anything. If we're not doing anything, why would anybody else? So
I was just going to say, which is the primary actions you'll find on that app, on the Climate Action Now app is, today's, I got a note this morning, today's action, contact your senator, and part of it is, again, not to get partisan about it, because what it is contact your senator to make sure whatever passes has climate action in it. Right. If you're going to take something out, don't take the climate action stuff out. It's too important. I know it's all important, but I feel if we don't deal with the climate part of it, we're not going to be dealing with any other part of it.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of hypothesizing about what is going to shift and move around from the reconciliation bill. So certainly voicing what matters to you right now, very, very important.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of unconventional pieces in the reconciliation bill that are not traditional infrastructure. The carve out that passed, but then got held up, was about your traditional roads and bridges.
Right.
But even that, you can still speak to that. It hasn't passed the House yet. There's still opportunity to say, make sure that construction is forward thinking, yes, that it's green, that it has build-ins for more public transportation, that, one of the things we didn't get to cover in that documentary is some of the amazing green technology that's out
Mhm.
there for construction. It's mind blowing.
Right.
And where we could be 10 years from now, um, in terms of, again, this radical ease with which all of our infrastructure just happens. I turn on a tap and I get hot, clean water. That's that's a real luxury that we all have just kind of assumed as part of our everyday in the future without having to work to ensure that that's there and available for the people coming up behind us.
You know, Jen, you're pointing out something great to me, which is, by the way, there is no age limit, upper or lower, to join Elders Climate Action. And Jen, I think you should be teaching a course on it. You have a lot of stuff there, and that is great. But that's exactly right. When I've been calling my representatives, that's exactly, not that I've used those words, but essentially exactly like, whatever you're doing to negotiate on this infrastructure and reconciliation package, do not give up the climate stuff. You know, there's other things I feel you're, from this constituent, there's other things I feel you're better to give up than action on the climate.
Yeah. The other piece that I would love for you guys to speak to, and I know it's noon and I don't know exactly how much time you allotted or that you have, but I think this is a really important point because you started off with this. This is not a political action group. There isn't a standard by which you have to prove that you're one party or the other. It's about where your priorities lie.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, and understanding infrastructure was a nonpartisan conversation for decades, even though not a lot of action happened for many decades. It was never something that became this party versus that party. If a bus is going to fall into a river because the bridge doesn't hold up, the bridge doesn't decide to do it because those kids' parents are either Democratic or
Right.
Republican.
Right.
You know, so can you talk a little bit before we wrap up about the nonpartisan nature of climate and the impact of that and the choices that you can make no matter what your party affiliation is?
Well, let me start out, and Dennis can wrap up. But it's obviously, as you point out, it doesn't affect people on the basis of their party. It affects everybody everywhere. Um, Elders Climate Action is a 501c3 organization, so that means we cannot advocate for political purposes. And so we don't. We advocate for good actions that do involve climate. Some bills do, some don't. So on that basis, we act, but not on the basis of party. So, and so we have one driving principle. I want to mention something that Bill Gates mentioned. He wrote a book recently on some solutions he thought were useful, and he tries to take a very nonpartisan viewpoint and just a technology viewpoint. But he was asked on the Late Late Show, what do you think is holding things up? And he said, well, if we can get young Republicans to get on board with this climate business, because the young are definitely, they're seeing their whole life in front of them being full of tornadoes and hurricanes and fires, and not thinking that's a good idea. So regardless of party, so if we can get them to make the point that this isn't a partisan issue, this is a let's save ourselves human issue, then maybe things will change at the political level. But we don't take those kinds of positions. We just are trying to get things done that are good for everybody.
Yeah, and if I can also mention, and this is not necessarily authoritative because I don't have references to necessarily cite, but I think unfortunately, like a lot of things, the current state of our country, everything seems to become very partisan. But around the world, this is not a clear partisan issue of, this is seen exactly as you were just saying, when the bus goes off the road because the bridge collapsed or whatever, it affects everybody. And, if you're, pro business or whatever, right wing, left wing, whatever, you're going to be affected by this. And around the world, I think you find that that it's not conservatives are against the environmental legislation and liberals are for it. There are definitely different opinions. Every country has different opinions. I just noticed today, and this is probably leading up to COP. I just noticed a big announcement from France of their investment in various clean energy initiatives, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. But yeah, we certainly are open to anyone, and it's really cut through the politics and get to it's about the environment.
Yeah.
No.
So give us the website again. Tell us one more time about that app. And then I would love to have both of you back after COP and tell us what happened from that. And
Great.
let's see if we can get, next time we'll get a couple of questions in advance and maybe a few callers.
That would be great. Love to. Well,
yeah, there's the web. By the way, there is the website. Oh.
eldersclimateaction.org.
I'm sorry, there's the web, eldersclimateaction.org, right. That's the website. There it is for you to see.
Again, a 501c3 charitable organization without a stance in one party or another.
Right.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of, it's all sorts of stuff there. This just gives you, things you can participate in, but eldersclimateaction.org.
Perfect. And then the app, if you go onto your iPhone, or if you've got a Samsung and you go onto the Google App Store, it is Climate Action Now. Mm-hmm. And again, that is a free application,
yes.
Free to download to your phone. I'm assuming you set up a notification and it gives you one actionable thing you can do every day. Again, without a cost or a fee coming to you.
Right.
And
that's exactly right.
To participate with you guys, it's what, $1,000, $14,000.
Very good.
No, free. It's free.
It's free. It's free. Did I say that? I forgot to mention that.
And I just put up again, if you go to the App Store, this is what you're looking for: Climate Action Now, and you're really getting it on the ground floor of this. It's a terrific little app, very easy to use.
And it seems like a very simple mission. For every action that you take, you earn a tree.
Yes, there's something to that effect. I don't know if it's a one-to-one thing. But it is about replanting, and I think you're going to find, if you go to that, you're going to learn a lot about the environment from all the actions, and you'll find a choice of actions. So again, when you get into not necessarily politics, but preferences. If your particular interest is in electric vehicles, there's going to be actions to take on that, or if it's local legislation, there's going to be actions to take on that too.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. I love your discussion also about the tree people and what they're doing locally. Trees are the planet's lungs. So important. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much, Jen.
Very much my pleasure. I'm going to stop your screen share. And I'm going to look you guys around one more time. Promise me you'll come back after COP26.
We will. We'd be happy to.
And keep your eyes on the news, just, stay aware, because there's a lot of developments all the time, but particularly now with leading up to COP26, where it is a worldwide, again, it's the environment. It doesn't respect borders. It's a worldwide situation.
Right. Guys, thank you so much.